I'd like to warn you all, this video is going to be very, very difficult to watch or listen to. And I'm not going to lie, I have not been looking forward to reading all of this out, but it has to be done. This story began with a tip-off. A contact of mine submitted freedom of information requests to several police forces across the United Kingdom, asking for hard data on grooming gangs and child exploitation. Only one police force responded in full, and that was West Yorkshire Police. What I'm about to share with you comes directly from that FOI response. These are official, up-to-date figures, verified and compiled by West Yorkshire Police, covering the years 2009 to 2024. This isn't a theory, it isn't hearsay, and it certainly isn't, as one MP shamefully claimed, a quote, false right-wing narrative.
So when the right-wing media and those that seek to undermine, they are using a false narrative. And there's nothing new in that, because we know what they have ran in the past, whether it's in relation to the people that stand up for human rights, for Palestine, in Kashmir, whether it's to do with gangs. It's a narrative that is done in order to sow division. And we must prevent that from happening. And one of the ways that we achieve that is to make sure that the moment a false narrative is arisen, that we address it immediately.
That comment isn't just misleading, it's insulting to the victims of these horrific crimes. We also heard a comment recently from another MP saying that speaking about grooming gangs is a dog whistle.
I don't know whether you saw the documentary on Channel 4 about gangs over
no,
this.
we want to blow that little trumpet now, do we? Yeah, okay.
There was a real issue.
Let's get that dog whistle out, shall we?
Now, I'm not presenting this to provoke or inflame, but because the facts demand attention. And remember, this is data from just 5 districts in a single part of the United Kingdom. I've also shared this data, which is now in the public domain, with my very good friend Connor Tomlinson, who has written a breakdown for Courage Media. We've also tipped off other media outlets such as The Telegraph, so hopefully they'll be running the story soon, or they might have already run it before this video goes out. Now, between 2009 and 2024, West Yorkshire Police recorded 7,100 grooming and child offences. These cases resulted in 7,121 victims and 5,508 named suspects. These crimes were either flagged as child sex or classified under the offence code 88A, section, which criminalises adults who groom a child under the age of 16 with the intent to commit a sexual offence, even if no sexual act even occurs. In other words, this includes pre-abuse behaviours that are often the beginning of long-term exploitation. So let's begin with the district breakdown. Here's how the cases were spread geographically. Bradford recorded the highest number of cases at 2,419 offences. That's 34.1% of the total. Leeds followed with 1,601 cases at 22.5%. Kirklees with 1,547. That's 21.8%. Wakefield had 803 at 11.3%. Bradford in particular logged over 200 offences per year for multiple consecutive years, showing this is not a historical issue, but an ongoing one. Now, suspects by ethnicity, which I'm really incredibly surprised that West Yorkshire Police actually provided. So let's talk about the breakdown, not by raw numbers, but by per capita, which adjusts for the population size using the latest census of 2021. Asian Pakistani suspects totaled at 1,183, which is 21.5% of all suspects. but only around 10% of the population of that area. That equates to 507.7 suspects per 100,000 people. Other ethnic group, which includes Arab, Middle Eastern and Latin American, had the highest suspect rate at 530 per 100,000 people. Black Caribbean suspects at 459 per 100,000 people. Asian Bangladeshi, which was 408 per 100,000, and white British suspects, despite being the largest group numerically at 2,454, had a much lower per capita rate at 155 per 100,000. These figures reveal disproportionate representation among some minority groups, and this isn't about blame, it's about data, patterns, and the need for targeted safeguarding. I also have victims by ethnicity in per capita. White British children accounted for 3,960 victims, or 55.6% of all cases. When adjusted for population, other black background victims had the highest rate of 1,260 victims per 100,000. Mixed white and black Caribbean was 378 per 100,000. Other mixed backgrounds was 622 per 100,000 people. So while white British children are the largest group affected in absolute terms, mixed and black children are the most disproportionately vulnerable, according to this data set. And when we compare side by side, so despite being less than 1/3 of the population, non-white British groups account for 55.5% of suspects and 44.4% of victims. That's a 3.6 times higher suspect rate and 2.3 times higher victim rate among non-white British communities. To add some additional insights, charges versus offences, only 1,272 charges were brought across 7,100 offences. That's just 17.9%, meaning over 4 in 5 cases did not result in a charge. Offences exploded after 2013, peaking in 2017 and 2018 with over 800 cases per year before slowly declining. However, 2024 still saw 537 cases and only 34 charges. There is also missing ethnicity data. 1,070 suspects had no ethnicity recorded. That's 19.4% of all suspects. 2,461 victims were also missing this data. That's 34.6% of the total. This incomplete reporting obscures patterns and undermines public transparency. So a brief overview on the key takeaways. Ethnic disproportionality among suspects is real and significant when viewed per capita. Mixed and black children face the highest risk of victimization relative to their community size in this particular area. Bradford is the epicenter of grooming offences in this dataset. The charges are also rare, where fewer than 1 in 5 offences result in prosecution. The MPs dismissing this issue are out of touch with reality and disrespectful to the victims. And this is a live problem, not just a scandal of the past like many believe it is. The data is now public, and you can also find Connor Tomlinson's written coverage at Courage Media. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.